The books on the shelf have been falling all day, and I'm so nervous that they're about to fall again. What's up, guys? It's Becca. This feels weird because I haven't made a video in like 2 weeks. I'm really inconsistent because I've been so sad. Life is terrible. Hey! Thanks for all the views on my record collection video. I know it's not a lot, but it's a lot to me, and that's kind of cool. So thanks for checking that video out. Don't forget to like this one and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. I've been a theater kid for a really long time, if that wasn't something that you already knew or assumed about me. I thought I would just go through my entire theatrical resume, start to finish. I mean, it's not finished, but like the last thing I've done. It's finished for 2020 at least. The first thing at least that I can remember doing was not really a show, it was more like a dance camp. I was the principal in Grease and the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, and I had less stage time as the Tin Man, which was very strange. But these were in a dance studio, and they were just kind of like 20-minute little summer camp skits that we did. The Grease one I remember specifically because I was like 7, and my parents let me watch Grease because I was going to be in it, but they had to skip like a good third of the movie, and I was obsessed with Grease at that age without even really knowing a lot of what it was supposed to be about. My one line as the principal was, "Let's give a round of applause to the dance king, queen," or something like that. I delivered this line as, "Let's give a round of applesauce." Nobody ever said shit to me about it. And that's a trend in my life I found, is that I'll say a word wrong for a number of years before someone finally tells me that that's not right. These are some pictures from when I was a Sneetch in Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches. I was an undesirable Sneetch, which checks out. Then I moved to Nashville and went to a private middle school here where I did Annie in 5th grade, which is like everyone's gateway show. Now it's Shrek. Shrek is the gateway show now, I think, but it used to be Annie. I wanted to be Pepper really bad because I thought being villains was fun. And again, I got one line, and it was hot mush, yuck. But I had to like put my arms all the way up and all the way down and like scream it because I didn't have a mic. You know how it is. The year after that, we did Willy Wonka Jr., and I was initially cast as an Oompa Loompa, and then the girl playing Mrs. Bucket dropped out, so I got bumped up to being Mrs. Bucket. My posture in this show is iconically bad because I had to spend the first 10 minutes just standing back there stirring soup that didn't exist. Wasn't in the second act at all. Had a friend come to see the show late, missed the whole first act, so missed my whole performance. Also, in Willy Wonka Jr., Cheer Up Charlie is not a Mrs. Bucket solo. It's like Mrs. Bucket has a couple lines in it, and then the rest of it's given to Grandpa Joe, who was an 8th grader, and I kind of thought that that was BS. After that, I cannot remember the name of this show for the life of me. It's like Cinderella, it's some kind of Cinderella twisted fairy tale mess. And the fairy godmother is the fairy like godfather, and he has a secretary named Nell. And I was in an after-school program. I was supposed to play Nell. I didn't like that role. I thought it was BS. I don't have any photos because on the day that this performance was supposed to take place for the elementary schoolers, I just kind of decided not to go. Ziggy has been so clingy all week. Like, if I'm not picking her up or if she's not like near me, she is screaming. Around like 8th grade to freshman year of high school, I started watching a lot of Shane Dawson, which is not good to say any longer. It was very inspirational to me at the time because I wasn't only a child and I didn't have that many friends, and I was like, oh, I can make videos and just play all the characters. So I did a lot of that. What? I'll just throw in like a few clips. These are all pretty bad, but they say a lot about me as a person.
I still hear your voice when you spin a crocodile's head and stick my face in it.
She is hot. Sorry. For shame. This is the only girl that's ever loved me, and she only loved me because I broke my spine last semester. But who cares about that?
Did a production of Godspell, like a mini production of Godspell with my church choir. I had the line about Judas betraying Jesus, and I would walk up to that mic in my tie-dye Godspell shirt and my Hearts Converse and grab that mic and just deliver this line in the most serious way, and then turn away and be like, nailed it. I also did a couple of shows with Missoula Children's Theater, which is a traveling company that's based out of Missouri, I think. Met a lot of cool people doing this that I'm still like sort of friends with. We did King Arthur's Quest one year. I was a damsel in distress, which is basically like a ditzy bitch. Then the year after they did Tortoise and the Hare, and I was one of 6 like British. It didn't make a lick of sense. It's one of those shows. It goes on for so long because literally every character has to have at least one speaking line because they bring in all these 6-year-olds who have never been on stage before to be like a snake. And the kids who have actually done theater play like the Tortoise and the Hare. The 2 like 20-somethings leading the company who are always gay but quiet about it, like, are the leads. And it's a whole thing. It goes for like a week. It's really fun though. It was a really good time. I started doing more full-blown productions with a company in Franklin that I don't necessarily want to dox. But the first show I did with them was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I have always loved Joseph. Joseph was like my first big sexual awakening as a kid, with Donny Osmond in the wig, shirtless. And then it was another big one, not a couple of years later, quite a while later, for my Renaissance sexual awakening, I'll call it. If you know, you know. With like the narrator and stuff. But I was Issachar, one of the brothers, and let's just say, what, Ziggy, you can't do this the whole time. If you do an educational production of Joseph in the South, and the person singing Benjamin Calypso is not a white woman, probably didn't do an educational production of Joseph in the South, because they always somehow get that one wrong. After that, I did Footloose. I was Lyle, one of the 2 goons of the abusive boyfriend, and they were both changed to women because there was too many women in the cast, as you know, it usually is. There's also an ensemble. The theater mom who photographed all the shows really liked me for some reason, because I was always in the ensemble, but there's always a ton of photos of me. I don't think it's because I was hotter than everybody else, but I mean, that's kind of a hot picture. I don't know. That Christmas, I did a mini show called like Rockin' Reindeer or something, where Santa's reindeer get bored and so they play on a dance. I don't really remember. All my friends did it and it was over Christmas break, so I was like, I'll do it also. I did Sweeney Todd with them, which was so much fun. I was Dr. Fogg, the insane asylum doctor, and I got shot on stage, which was so fun. My mom screamed, and then I got to get right back up and do City on Fire. That summer, I did Les Mis with them. I was in the ensemble. I don't have any photos of me being the old woman who cuts Fantine's hair at the beginning, but I was like a poor person and also a soldier, because every time that there's a tall, not super attractive girl in a show, usually ends up playing a boy because there's not enough boys. Now we're jumping into my junior year of high school. My theater elective class that I was in at my high school had to do a production that like the upperclassmen directed each like a scene from, and it was Charlotte's Web. They chose Charlotte's Web because I guess they didn't like us very much, and I was Mrs. Arable. I was the mom. My really close friend was Avery, the like snot nosed brother. The guy who had a huge crush on me, who ended up being like my rebound, was Mr. Arable, and we never spoke during this whole time. It was fine, I guess. I wanted to get it over with, because literally that same weekend I was the only lead I've ever been in a musical, Paulette, in Legally Blonde, which was, oh my god, so much fun. If I could play this role again, I know I would be better, but God, it was fun. That's a fun show. It's a great script. The songs are fun. I also got to be a sorority girl in like the first 2 numbers because they needed bodies, and that was really fun. I just, like, God, that's such a good musical, and people don't recognize that nearly enough. Also, fun Legally Blonde story, I went backstage and caught the guy who was playing Elle's dad with one of the Chihuahuas' chew toys in his mouth. And he saw me see him and didn't put it down, so that's cool. That summer, I auditioned for my first professional community theater production of The Wizard of Oz. I was a tree. Not gonna post any pictures because we wore brown foundation, and out of context, those photos look super not good. I was also an Aussian and a Winky. Later that summer, I also did Rent. I wanted to be Maureen really bad. Can't belt, so that was kind of out of the question. I ended up being Joanne's mom. I was the ensemble member that was like, you know what? I'm gonna be that one bitch who's always in the scenes with the leads. While the leads were having their conversation, I would be like reacting super huge, but like in the midst of it. So there's all these pictures of me like right in the scenes with the leads where I shouldn't be. Also during this show, I drank alcohol on stage by accident from a bourbon bottle that I thought was empty, and it was not. I ate a bag of stale chips on stage during the New Year's party scene. Nobody told me they were stale until after the fact. We didn't cut that much out of Rent. Like, we were popping middle fingers and saying swear words and stuff, but the scene with the drug dealer, he was giving us bags of like oregano or like flour so that it looked like we had drugs on stage. And in the cardigan that I wore in the show, I left a bag of the fake Coke in my pocket after the show closed, and was like shopping in the mall one day and felt it and was like, and like ran to the bathroom and flushed it. Senior year of high school, I auditioned for my first and only show with my actual high school, which was the play The Happiest Millionaire. It's a horrible, it's an awful play. It requires alligators on stage, which we literally duct taped a plastic alligator to an RC car and drove it across the stage really quick and didn't think that anybody would notice. Started my trend of playing characters that are somehow only in the second act of the show, but are also like iconic in their own right. I was Mrs. Duke, which is like the bitchy mother of the main character, shows up and like just thinks that everyone else is trash. Made a lot of weird faces. I had a lot of fun. All my close friends were in that show. I did Grease with the same community theater that I did Wizard of Oz with. I was cast in the ensemble. I almost dropped out. There's a lot of stories from that show that I probably can't share. During summer nights on stage, we would eat these mini corn dogs and like Oreos. Those Magic Changes was right after Summer Nights, and initially I was not in Magic Changes because I had to miss that rehearsal, and then another ensemble member dropped out, so I got like pushed into it last minute. Every night for Magic Changes, I would either have an Oreo in my pocket or still in my mouth. After I graduated high school, I did Oliver with this company. Oliver is IMO the worst musical of all time. I auditioned for Oliver with a friend, and I got cast as Old Sally, the 99-year-old woman who is Oliver's like secret grandmother or something and dies. And he got cast as Noah Claypole, the little shitty funeral home kid. We just decided to be agents of chaos. Don't do this. Do not do this. We would try to sabotage the show. We would trip on stage. We would spit on stage. This cast was a crazy mishmash of kids fresh out of high school and adults in like their late 40s and 50s, and then baby kids that were like playing the orphans, like 10, 12-year-olds. So it was chaotic already. I would take off my knee socks before Act 2 and put both of them in one boob, so one boob was like way bigger than the other one, and see if anybody would notice. Every night I would extend my death scene and just milk the shit out of it and make it so dumb. And the whole cast was on board with us. Like, eventually we were all just kind of like, fuck it. It's very bad to do this. While we were running off stage one night for the final scene, the director was like, I need to hear some noise. And I just screamed. Just like, ah! And by the time closing night happened, I eventually got that entire cast to do it with me. My friend would always be like loudly burping backstage to see if they could hear it. We would keep running tallies of the things that we did in the shows every night. I went to college for theater, and I didn't get cast in a production at my school for a long time. The second semester of my freshman year, I auditioned for another community theater show, the play Picnic. I went into it just like not expecting anything, got cast in a minor role, but it was still like very cool for me. I met people that I'm still close with. This was like my first break into like Nashville theater, I guess. The director came up with the hidden subplot of my teacher being a lesbian. I was like, I'm on board, baby, let's do this. So after that, we were doing a production of The Crucible, which was gonna be like 10 roles for girls, and then all the rest of the cast was gonna be Nashville theater professionals. So I busted my butt. I came into the callbacks with my sides memorized. So angry that I hadn't been cast up until that point that I just let it fuel me, and I was like, you're casting me. You have no reason not to cast me. got cast as Mercy Lewis. I have great memories of that show. All my best friends were in it or involved with the crew. All the theater professionals that we worked with, I'm still tight with for the most part. They were all super great people. Great production, such a fun show. It's awesome to be the bully character. It really is. It's fun to thrash around on stage and pretend to be possessed and be like, am I about to hit my head on this bench? Later that same semester, I was cast by the director who had done Picnic in a production of the Miss Firecracker contest. It's a really funny show, and I was playing a character that was also only in the second act. It was a 6-person cast, so we all got really close. We would hang out on the weekends, and I would drink Fireball and chase it with LaCroix, which is a terrible idea. I fell down the stairs off stage one night, and the whole audience heard. It was like all old people, and they all came up to me after the show to ask me if I was okay. My junior year of college, I got cast because everyone got cast in the ensemble of Beauty and the Beast. It was like a 30-person ensemble plus all the leads. This production was a shit show. That's the general consensus among everyone who was involved in it, that it was a shit show. So all the major dances, especially for the ensemble, were choreographed 4 to 5 different times. We were trying our best to replicate the Broadway choreography, especially for Gaston with the cups. It was so hard. It was so hard. By the time we got to Tech Week, everyone was just so done. And the first time we practiced with the backpack of the silverware for Be Our Guest, the forks were made out of foam, and so they were breaking on the tall pillars of the set. The set was enormous and very unsafe. I was wearing a fork the first night, and all of the appendages on my fork except for one broke off, and so I was the middle finger fork. This is like my legacy at Lipscomb Theater. Second semester, I was in an all-female production of Richard II. Really underrated Shakespeare show. The director is a professor of mine that I'm also like tight with now. It was so fun. I was Bagot of Bushy Bagot and Green. I have nothing but good memories of that show. It was very powerful to me. I'm not a huge Shakespeare nerd, but I really understood the power of what Shakespeare can be. So from here on out, it's all pretty rockin'. Going into my senior year, we were doing She Loves Me as the musical. I watched the show on Broadway HD, and I saw the later character, and I was like, oh my god, that role would be so much fun. It sucks that it has to be a guy, because I'll probably just end up in the ensemble. Because I can sing, but not like great. If I can sing in a character voice, it's like fine, but... So we did the audition, the callbacks were a dance thing. I'm not a dancer, so I was just goofing it. The cast list came out on the day that I was in line to meet Paramore for the After Laughter CD signing. Checked the email, and it said head waiter Becca Stogner, and I was like, wait, is that what I think it is? And it was. And oh my god, wow, this show was so fun. The head waiter's song is this big dance number. I didn't have to do any of the dance because I was like patrolling around. My character was this androgynous super queen with a cigarette. The lighting, blue, pink, and purple. That is some epic foreshadowing, baby. I just got to go crazy with that part. Oh, it was everything. It was iconic. It was iconic, and I have said that about myself, and other people have said that too. My final show at Lipscomb University was the poster that is just above my Booksmart poster, On the Verge. It's a really underrated play about 3 female explorers who are trekking through Terra Incognita and then suddenly start traveling through time as well. So they start in like the 1880s and then they end up in the 1950s. One guy plays like 10 different parts. I wanted that show. I got the part that I wanted. My best friend got the part that she wanted. Doing the deep dive on the character, doing the deep dive on the language. It was such a fun show. Even carrying these like huge wooden backpacks. It was a challenging show. It was so hard, but it was so rewarding. Probably the most rewarding process. The fact that that was how I got to exit Lipscomb Theater was just, it was perfect. I had a really great arc. Okay, my camera's dying, so I gotta do these last couple kind of quick, which sucks. I was in a production of a new play by the fabulous Tori Keenan Zelt. All of her works are chef's kiss. But Truth Dare is about 4 girls in the 90s. My camera died, so I'm gonna film the rest of this on my phone. That's the shelf, actually, the Truth Dare shelf. But Truth Dare is about 4 girls in the 90s and the 2000s. They are best friends, so you see them when they're 12 and then again when they're 18. One of the girls dies when they're young, and it follows how that affects them as kids into their like adult lives and how their bond grows and changes. God, this is my favorite show. There's the On the Verge poster also, so you can see that as well. But Truth Dare is by far my favorite show that I've ever done. I got to curse in it finally, which was a long time goal of mine. I've always wanted to curse on stage. The character that I played was like the gothy sad bitch, which emotionally, just as an actor, it was the most satisfying work I've done. The cast was 4 girls. We all got close. Those are some stuffed animals from the show. The Beanie Baby is a gift from my castmate, and then the moldy looking teddy bear is from a scene that was set up of the memorial for the dead girl with like a bunch of stuff from the 90s on it. The set design, the process, everything about that show was just so great, and being able to show it to people was so cool and such a thrill. That is the show that made me realize, like, even if I'm not majoring in theater, like even if my life goal is not to be an actress, I don't ever want to stop acting because I get to do shit like this. That's so cool. And then now mostly what I do is improv. That's what all these posters are. I've started a team. I've started a podcast. I'm on several teams. I've really found myself as an improviser. I'm funny. But improv is also, especially in long form, improv is a world that it has rules, but it doesn't. So anything goes. In college, I discovered I loved improv when I played a wad of gum that was stuck under a desk that was looking for its flavor. And it flew, and it was great. And like weird ideas like that are what improv is all about. And connections and relationships, which is what I love most about being an actor. So it's really worked out great for me. And that's why I've been so sad, because I don't have any of what I love the most in life right now, except for my friends. That is all for this video. Like it and subscribe if you enjoyed that. Sorry about the final camera work here. Check out Youth Group Survivor Support Group, my podcast. I have a new podcast that I'm working on as well called The Time Machine. I'm going to be talking about old Disney Channel stuff with some good friends of mine. If you want to be on that, hit me up. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really good time. So that is coming soon. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Please keep donating to Black Lives Matter. I will continue linking all of that stuff as well. Donate to Third Coast Comedy Club. I will still be linking my GoFundMe for that. I love Third Coast more than anywhere else in the world, and I wanted to make it out on the other side. Watch the music video for Miss Murder by AFI also, because I saw it for the first time yesterday. Weird, I know, but saw it for the first time yesterday, and it's art. So check that out. And that is it for me. So I will see you next time I have an idea.